All right, welcome back to part 3 of our colt starting series. We got Josephine back here. Step 1 of part 1 was the flexing exercise we did. Part 2 was our desensitizing exercises. And part 3 is going to be moving our horse's feet. Disengaging the hindquarters, backing our horse up, asking our horse to move forward around left and forward around right. Those are going to be our exercises that we're going to do today. We'll be using a rope halter. This one here has the extra nose knots. I talked about that earlier. It makes it more uncomfortable for the horse to lean on it. Otherwise, it does nothing. It's very lightweight. But if they lean, it just makes it uncomfortable for them to continue to lean on it. Using the 14-foot lead. These got a really nice feel to it, made out of yacht rope. And it's got a nice weighted end. Use these for all my training. We'll be using a 4-foot stick as an extension of our arm. That way I can project my energy a little bit farther away without having to actually be there. It does help with getting the horse and you together with body language, that I can start weaning myself off of using this stick, and she can get used to me just using my body language. But the stick helps with the projection of it. Since we're using the stick as a tool right now, and I'm going to be applying pressure with it, I also want to make sure she's good with it touching her all over, and just that the fact that it's moving around and touching her does not mean I need her to move her feet. So I'm going to rub her around back and belly, front legs and back legs. And I'm not being sneaky about it. I'm just scratching her with it. Just making sure she's okay with the stick in general. It's a little bit dusty here. We haven't had any rain in a while, so everything's dusty. All right, good girl. Okay, so the exercise we're going to do first is yielding the hindquarters. So in order for me to get a proper yield or disengage of the hindquarters, what's going to happen is her front foot here, her inside front foot, will have to pivot in place, and her hindquarters will move away from me. Otherwise, she's just walking. So I want her to actually disengage this hindquarters, move it away, and she will pivot right here on this inside front foot. And we talked earlier on pressure and release exercises. Right now, she's just going to wander around. I'm just going to go ahead and just keep petting her until I get her to stop here, because I don't really want her to wander around. Anyway, we talked about pressure and release exercises. When we did our flexing exercises, we pulled, right? So I picked up the lead, I pulled, and asked her to give from a pulling pressure. Keep her feet still and give to that pressure. That was part 1 of our training. So right now what we're doing is this is all going to be a pushing pressure. I'm push, push, push. I'm not pulling on this lead rope at all. This is the one thing that gets everybody when they do the disengaging of the hindquarters. For some reason, we want to pull the horse's head forward, expecting the hindquarters to move, when actually we're just asking the horse to lead forward. And right now what I want to do is just push the hindquarters away. So I'm going to get myself in a position to ask her to move that hindquarters, pivot on this front foot, and this hindquarters is going to move away. This leg here is going to cross in front of this leg back here. So I'm in the position I want to be in to make it easier for me to get it, make it easier for her to get it. I'm going to apply pressure to the hindquarters and the hindquarters only. I do not want to pull on this head. Get myself in a little bit of position here. We're going to do pressure and release. So I'm going to suggest that she moves her hindquarters. I'm going to ask her to move that hindquarters, and then I'm going to tell her to move that hindquarters. So suggestion is just going to be my body language. I'm going to kind of project a little bit body language. Move your butt, right? She doesn't quite get that, so now I'm going to ask her to move her hindquarters. So I'm going to tap in the air. I might cluck a little bit and see if I can get her to disengage that, feel a little bit of pressure just on the hindquarters. If she starts to walk forward, I might shake this lead rope a little bit, throwing a little bit of energy up in here just to put a little bit of weight back on that front leg to see if she'll plan it, and then pivot. All right, here we go. Let's give it a try here. Suggest, ask. Now I'm going to tell her. That was a nice little pivot. She took a little step afterward, but that's not a big deal. For the first time here, I'm going to go ahead and reward her. I'm rewarding her by leaving her alone. I'm not asking her to do anything anymore. Just stand here and chill out. All right, I'm going to get myself back in this position again. You got to at least be looking kind of this way. All right, so I'm going to do it again. I'm going to suggest, ask, reward. Didn't have to touch her with the stick. Didn't have to tell her, get to that step 3. So eventually I'm going to be just using my body language. Now I'm over exaggerating it and I'm kind of crouching down and all looking silly. But eventually all that'll go away and we can just use some hand gestures or whatever. So let's go ahead and try it again here. I don't know why she's wanting to wander off here. I'll scold her a little bit for moving her feet. Good girl. All right, here we go. Touch her. Got it. Shake, shake, shake a little bit. Had to shake the lead just a little bit because she wanted to walk forward. Ask her again here. One step at a time is really nice. I like it. She wants to walk towards me. That's what she's wanting to do here. I'm kind of her safe space, so I wanted to know that she can walk away from me. Now she's wandering forward. There was a pivot, so I backed off. So she started to walk forward. Wasn't working. The shaking wasn't working, so I just kept the pressure up on the hindquarters until she planted, and as soon as she planted and pivoted, I stopped. I'm going to ask again. Very nice. A little bit of a wander off, but it's okay. Let's get back in the middle of the round pin here. All right. We got her started on one side. I'm going to start on the other side. I'm going to get both sides going about the same speed here. Still wanting to push up on me a little bit. All right, so get myself in a position where she will understand what I'm looking at. Looking at the hindquarters only. A little bit of a tap. There we go. She pivoted the last at the end. Now she's a little worried about the fact that I had the tap for a little bit, so now she's going to wander around. And I'm just going to pet her till she stops. All right. Now we'll go back to just using body language again, see if we can get it. Shake, shake, shake a little bit. Now, the reason why I want to work on disengaging this hindquarters is because this is where all the power is going to come from my horse. This whole hindquarters is just one big old muscle. We worked on the head and neck on part 1. Now I'm working on the hindquarters on part 3 here. I just want to control these feet. I want to be able to ask without much effort and get these feet moving in the direction I want. And right now, I just want them to disengage. All right, body language. Ask. Tell. Push, push, push. She wanted to walk forward towards me. Shook the lead rope just a little bit to bump her off. See if she gets this. Very nice. Just reward. Every time I get a good effort here, nice reward. Looking right at them hindquarters. That's what I want to move. That's what I need to move. Good girl. I want to work back over on this right side. Here we go. She's wanting to walk forward. There we go. See how she's planting that left front or that right front foot and pivoting? Very nice. Doing well. Go back to this side here. She keeps wanting to crawl up in my lap there. All right, here we go. Ask again. Started walking forward. I tapped her off. Move that butt. Thank you. Rub all that away. You're a good girl. You got this. All right, here we go again. Very nice. Thank you. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. I'll start weaning myself off the stick for this exercise here and see how that goes. If I need it, it's going to be here. There we go. We're getting some pivots. By all means, it's not perfect, but we still have a lot of day left. Ask again. Get a little bit more effort involved on her part there. Good girl. Okay, we got that started, and we're going to keep coming back to that exercise. And what I'm going to do now, because we asked our horses to move their feet, just like with the desensitizing on part 2, go back to doing a little bit of flexing in between. I really think flexing is important. So I'm going to ask her to keep her feet still now and just flex. And because we moved her feet, might find a little, well, she did great. So I'm going to just go ahead and chalk that up as a win there. Very good girl. All right. Flex around the other side here. Offside. Flex, sweetheart. Thank you. No. There we go. So what I'm doing here is the offside flex from part 1. All right. Nice little pets here. Okay. Next exercise we're going to focus on is asking our horse to back up, back away from us. One of the things we do, I talked earlier about us using this lead rope and this halter for everything, leading them around and wanting to pull on it all the time. Same thing goes with backing up. The first thing people do when they want to back their horses up is they do all this shaking. And you see what happens when I shake? Her head's going straight up in the air. Her back hollows out. Weight tends to gather in her hindquarters, and that makes her front end awful light. When we do that too much, it's obviously an unbalanced horse, but we start to cause, they don't want to go backwards anymore. It starts causing them to rear, and just bad things happen there. So what I did on that one is I asked the horse to back up because I was asking her head to back up. Yes, she backed up, but she basically fell backwards and her head went straight in the air. So what I want to do is I want to ask Josephine to back up, but I don't want to ask her head to back up. I'm going to ask her body to back up. Her head's attached. It's going to follow that body regardless, okay? So what I'm going to do now, use my pressure and release technique. I'm going to suggest ask and tell, but I'm going to focus my pressure right here. Just a little bit of pressure right there. You see her wanting to back up. Her head stayed nice and low. All the weight evenly distributed on her feet. So that's where my pressure is going to go. Get myself in position so that she can understand what I'm asking for. I understand what I'm asking for, and it makes sense to both of us. Square in front of her. I'm going to ask her to back up. I'm going to focus on her chest muscles there. I'm going to hold my stick just like this. Nice slack in the lead rope. And I'm going to project energy towards that chest. I'm not going to look at her head at all. I'm just going to look at the chest. So I'm going to suggest, ask, tell. I got a little bit of a backup. Her head stayed fairly low on that, so I'm going to reward her. Suggest, ask, suggest, ask, tell. Very nice. Now I want to go the other way. Do I just lead her around in a big circle and turn around? No, we're going to use our disengaging exercises here. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Here we go. Now I'm going to ask her to go backwards the other way. Suggest, ask, tell. Now I don't want to wait until I get all the way up in here like this before I start telling her. If I'm all the way in there and she's not backing up, I've lost the whole idea of pressure and release. I'm already in a spot I can't get out of. So what I want to do is I want to start to push in here, and if it ain't happening, I increase the pressure. I don't get closer. Getting closer doesn't mean no good. So I'm going to stay back here, and before I start taking that step and follow, I need to make sure she's actually moving. Little lick and chew there. We're going to do a couple more steps backwards. I'm going to go the other direction here. I'm going to yield her hindquarters to get her to turn around. Shake this. She's about to walk forward, so I wanted to stop that. There we go. Nice. All right, let's get her back in the center. If I have to touch her, I'll touch her. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Good girl. All right, so we've got backwards and we've got our yielding of the hindquarters now. One thing to consider when you're asking your horse to back up is backing up is a confidence building exercise. Horses just don't walk around backwards for no reason, so they tend to get a little sticky in reverse. So doing it now, early on in training, and from the ground, without micromanaging and holding on to the lead rope and pushing them backwards, helps build their confidence in general. A lot of times what will happen is you'll be asking your horse to back up, and they'll start getting crooked. She's going straight line, so she's a pretty confident horse, but they'll start getting crooked, which is not because you're on the wrong side or the right side or anything like that. They're just trying to see. So they got their head cocked a little bit. They're trying to look behind them to make sure we're not getting ready to back them off a cliff or anything. But if that does happen, they get crooked, it's not that big a deal. We have that exercise that we worked on earlier to straighten them back out if we have to. So if she gets a little bit crooked, I'll step to the side, move that hindquarters, and continue pushing on. All right, here. Let's do a little bit of a combination. One thing, too, you can do is this combination exercise. We're going to ask her to yield her hindquarters and then back up from that. If their horse is sticky backing up, this definitely will help. So I'm going to ask her to disengage her hindquarters and then ask her to back up. So her feet are already moving. Her hindquarters are already moving her, so she's already got motion going. And then when I push and redirect that energy into her chest, it helps them unstick. So if she was sticky on the backup, I would use this to help. Right now, I'm just using it as an exercise just to combine two together to see if we're getting somewhere with things. And if I have to touch her, I'll touch her with a stick. No big deal. Good girl. What we're going to do now is just real simple. It's a little bit of a combination. But when you do the exercise, don't do it as a combination, as in one exercise. Do it as two separate exercises. So I'm going to do a square box, basically. So I'm going to ask her to back up. 1, 2, 3 steps. I'm going to stop. Now I'm going to pivot her 90. Ask her to back up 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. Good girl. Pivot her 90. Starts to walk forward. I'm going to shake that lead rope. There we go. Good. Stop. Back her up 3 steps. 1, 2. Those are short little steps, but we're going to take it. 3. All right. Pivot 90. Shake. So she started to walk forward. I just shook that lead rope just a little bit. I'm not making contact with the halter when I shake it. I'm just shaking, and the energy kind of comes up into the halter there, and it just helps her not want to walk forward. All right, here's the last backup. 1, 2, 3. 3.5, 4, whatever. Okay. So we did that one way. Let's go ahead and do it the other way. So there was our 3 steps backwards. Up, shake, shake. A little bit more here. Your butt. Move your butt. Just your butt. There it is. Thank you. Back up. 1, 2, 3. All right. Ask for a yield here. 2. There's a 90. Back up. 1, 2, 3. One more pivot. She's trying to block me and get in front of me. She isn't as comfortable with me being on this right side of her. We talked about, I believe it was in part 1, maybe it was part 2, but whenever that happens, I want to stop. I want to get myself in this spot and maybe do that more on this side than that side, just because this is more uncomfortable for her. It's not horrible and she's not too bad with it, but it is a thing. So I want to make sure we get over it. All I did there was, as she tried to cut me off when I walked this way, was I just kind of put my arm in here and kind of blocked, and once I get past her nose, I'm in here. So once that happens, it's not too bad. And she can start relaxing that I'm in her no zone she's not too comfortable with. Okay, now that we've got her disengaging her hindquarters and backing up, now I want to move her feet forward. So the exercise I use is a forward and around exercise. So the cool thing about this exercise here is it gets their feet moving forward. But what it also does is it helps me soften up the horse's rib cage here. Come on here. So if she's walking forward and around, these ribs are what's going to get soft for me. We've already got her nice and soft in her head and her neck with the flexing. We can control the hindquarters with our yielding exercise. Now I'm working on her midsection here and her rib cage. So when this exercise isn't about chasing our horse around in a circle, because that's not what we're doing here. I want her to walk forward and around. So what we'll do here is, in order to get her to move forward and around, we're going to start from the position in front. I'm going to apply pressure to turn her so that she can turn away from me to start her walk forward and around. And when I apply pressure, it's going to be anywhere from the nose to the shoulder. That's going to be my steering wheel at this point. Nose to the shoulder. That's my steering wheel on both sides. She's already flexing, so when I point, she should follow this lead a little bit just because of the weight of it. She's already goes with the feel of that lead. I don't want to be too close to her, because if I ask her to move off, she's just going to run me over. So I want her to move her front end away from me and out to my left right now. So I'm going to point. I want to give her a direction. So I'm pointing to the left. Now I'm going to apply pressure, and I'm going to use my stick anywhere from the nose to the shoulder. First I'm going to suggest, which was this, ask. Now I'm going to start telling her. And I'm just touching her on the neck, and I'm just going to follow her until she kind of understands what I'm asking. There we go. Now when she gets to that point, I need to push on her gas pedal. And that's not her butt. Her gas pedal is not her butt. Her gas pedal is going to be right here where our legs go. That's our gas pedal right there in the girth. She's getting confused here, so I'm going to keep pushing her off until we get it. Get tangled up in my rope here. There, now she's moving forward. And I'm going to position myself so that I am behind that gas pedal so that I can push on it. If I get in front of it here, what's going to happen is she's going to want to stop and face in. So I want to be behind it. That encouraged her to move forward. So right now she's kind of pulling on me. Got the lead ropes nice and tight here. And so she's definitely not soft in her rib cage. So to work on this exercise, I'm just going to let her lean on this halter. We talked about it earlier about it's got those nose knots on it. So they're a little bit uncomfortable when she pulls and leans on it. So if you see, we're not around yet. We're forward, but we're not around. Her nose is out and her hindquarters is closer to me. So what I'm wanting her to do is to start softening up. So I'm just going to let her walk. I don't need her to go fast. I'm not trying to get her tired. I'm trying to get her to soften up them ribs. I'm just going to let her walk forward, walk forward, walk forward. We're getting softer already. I can feel it. Whenever she starts crowding me a little bit, I'll go ahead and put a little bit of pressure to move her out. Not necessarily trying to speed her up. I'm just trying to push her away from me. She's cutting that corner a little bit there. Corner of a round pin, I guess it's a thing, but she's definitely cutting it. All right, here we go. Now she's pulling. She sped up. Doesn't mean she has to get stiff, but she did. So right now it's kind of a little bit of a waiting game here. I'm going to stop her here in a second and ask her to move out again once I get a little bit of softness out of her. So we'll prepare us for the stop here. I'll talk about it. What we're going to do, we're not going to pull on her head and face her up that way because that defeats the purpose of getting her nice and soft because all I'm going to do is be yanking on her face. What I want to do is I want to move that hindquarters away from me. And I want her to pivot on that inside front foot. So as soon as she starts to get a little bit softer, I'm going to try it. So it's the yielding of the hindquarters exercise that we just did at the very beginning. What I'm going to probably do is get a little bit closer on the lead rope. Get myself in position now. Now that I'm in position here, I'm going to step towards her hindquarters and put pressure on it just like if I was doing the yielding exercise. Using the stick as an extension here to push that hindquarters away. Right now, she's just pulling on my hand, so I'm not doing it right now. But once we get a little bit softer, I'm gonna, because if we don't, I'm gonna get dizzy. So when she gets one half a lap here, I think we're gonna be all right. Now I'm gonna step towards here. Move that butt away. Move that butt away. I'm gonna keep asking. There. I got her to finally do it. Now, I'm not pulling on it, but what I did do is I held steady on the lead rope. I didn't necessarily pull on the lead rope. I just held it tight. She pulled on me. I didn't pull on her. And that's the difference between using the lead rope to get them to stop and what she did. She just braced on it to stop. So we're going to ask again. Same exercise, same direction. Touch her, touch her, touch her. Here we go. She's moving forward. This is a whole lot softer the second time around. She's got some sticky spots. Okay, now I'm going to ask her to stop. I'm going to hold steady with this left hand. Step towards her hindquarters. Disengage. Very nice. Yeah. Yeah, sweetheart, we know. We know. Oh, goodness. Ask her to go left one more time. Touch, 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 touch. Oh, so dramatic there. But we are softer. Not the best, but we're softer than we were the first time. I'm going to ask again once we get past the camera view here and plant my feet. Ask her to stop. Go ahead and pet her. Now I'm going to ask her to go the other direction. So what I'll do is just change my hands, put the lead rope in my right hand, stick in my left hand. I'm going to point up high to the right, drive, 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 and start touching. So she's been going to the right this whole time. There we go. Here you go. I'm just going to wander with her. Right now she's going laterally, not forward at all. Once she gets that forward, I'll stop moving my feet a little bit here. But I do got to stay with her. There we go. A little bit of forward, a lot of lateral. Right now she's just avoiding the whole thing. There we go. She's getting it. So the more they pull, the more lateral they're going to end up going. She's yanking me around a little bit here. She'll get it. It's like one of those things you can rush. You just end up getting drug around if we fight this. So I'm just going to wait. Oh, goodness, girl. It's a gate. Still real heavy. There we go. It's forward. That was forward. And then you had to stop. It's all lateral right there if you saw that. Forward, forward, sweetheart. Let's go. Now she acts up right at the gate. It's not a coincidence. Ooh, she's strong. Come on, sweetheart. Forward. To the gate every time. There we go. There we go. Very nice. Now she's getting softer and moving forward. Once we clear this, I'm going to yield her hindquarters to a stop. I'm going to get up a little closer, stop moving my feet. There we go. She's getting a little anxious here. Let me see if I can get her to back up a little bit. There we go. Good girl. Yeah. I know. So she's one of them horses that likes to be in your lap when they get a little bit nervous. And that's never a good thing. You weigh too much. So when she moves up on me like that, I'll just back her up. Don't need to get into a fight with her, just back her up. Let her set and soak this in a little bit here. That was a tough one to the right for her. She really wasn't figuring out to move forward and around. She'll get it. All right, so let's try again to the right. I'm going to point. Drive. Earlier we talked about this being her side she don't like me on to begin with. And we're seeing it come out here on this exercise. She keeps wanting to move away and pull me around. She's getting awesome right here. Go ahead and yield her hindquarters now. That was good. Very nice. All right. I'm going to let her out of that. We're going to go the other direction here. Make her happy, make her day. Look at you. Good girl. Very nice and soft. Got a slack in the lead rope here. This was without fighting. I just stayed with her, talked her through it. When I want to stop, disengage them hindquarters. There we go. Change hands, change directions. Move her off. Very nice. Really nice. Really like this right here. That's a big change from about a minute ago. Go ahead and yield her hindquarters. I'm going to stop moving my feet. Use them hindquarters. Give her a nice pat. Back her up. Being a little bit crowdy. Don't need you in my pocket. Good girl. All right. Let her relax here. Soak this in just for a little bit. So what happened with the sending exercises to the left, she wasn't great because she didn't know it. But definitely to the right, she was real stiff, really pulled hard on me. But we had discussed earlier how she didn't like me on this side of her body anyway. So when I'm over here with the pressure, she just wanted to get away. So instead of following the feel of that lead rope, she just kept pulling and pulling and pulling. Once she got a little bit more comfortable being in there, she started to walk forward. Once she walked forward and the pressure kind of went away, she was like, oh, okay. And she immediately softened right up. So on this next time we're going to do some circles, look at the ribs and just see if you can see that they're bent. Her nose and her tail should be going around me so that they're closer to me than, say, her ribs are. And she's got that nice arc. That's what we're looking for here. So not only is there going to be some slack in the lead rope, her tail should be in towards me as well, and nice rounded. So let's go ahead and send her to the left. Forward and around. Speed her up a little bit. Fairly nice. Her nose is tipped out just a little bit, but them ribs are nice and soft. I like it. I like it. I can see a nice bend in there. Because of that, I'm going to plant my feet, yield them hindquarters, change hands, point the other way, drive. Ah, good girl. Forward, forward, forward. Look at this. Real nice. This is real nice here. She needs a little bit more encouragement to continue moving forward over here, but she definitely stopped pulling on me. Let's go ahead and yield these hindquarters. All right. Okay, that's going to conclude part 3, groundwork, moving our horse's feet. She did really well. I'm going to continue practicing this till we get a little bit better, but this is our starting point. And just because we went through part 1 and part 2 doesn't mean we don't continue on. So before I even started today, I went through and did part 1 and 2 before I even hit the record on the button for part 3, just to make sure she was still good to go and she didn't forget anything or I didn't leave a hole behind. But so far, so good in this series. I think Josephine's doing really well, and can't wait to see you guys for part 4.